Okay.
Thank you, Sarah. Up next is Townsend, introduced by his brother, Michael.
Alright, what can I say about Townsend? Well, to start, my guide for writing this speech was sent me a text message. Not just one, but 3 big text messages. I guess it was a little too much for him to quit texting his friends, most likely sitting next to him at the time, and call me so I don't look like a complete idiot up here. Either way, I said I could introduce him and describe his personality a little bit. If you want to know about his personality, then go on to Facebook. If you want to know how he was when he was a kid, then ask me, his older brother. Never did I think that my little brother would give me an opportunity to publicly embarrass him, but he did. I'm nice though. I don't need to mention about how I threw temper tantrums so bad people thought he was possessed, or how he used to go to another room when he wore diapers to watch cars, also known as going to the bathroom. No, I don't need to mention those things. I'll focus on the good stuff instead, and I mean the truly good things. He's a great little brother. He may not be there for every call, but bet your butt he can text you back before you get the chance to hit send. He not only has a job working alongside me, which is tough, trust me, but is also a far better student than I was. I admire him. I also wish him all the luck in the world. Give him a place to stand, and he'll move it.
Who knows the real difference between Apple mastermind Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak? Steve Wozniak has 2 degrees in computer science and electrical engineering. Steve Jobs, on the other hand, went to college for a single semester, dropped out, took calligraphy classes, and developed an interest in typesetting and fonts. There are 2 types of people in this world, each with their own individual style of thinking and way of processing information. These 2 groups can be divided up as left brain thinkers and right brain thinkers. Now, how many of you are good at math? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. All right. Now, how many of you are good at creative writing? All right. Well, I can be characterized as a right brainer. Because my brain prefers the right hemisphere, I do not see things in any A, B, C, D, E pattern. Instead, my brain has the ability to interpret multiple things at the same time. It is capable of interpreting information through shapes, forms, and all the elements that the human eye can see, putting them together in a large and broad picture. A great example of this process is putting facial characteristics together and recognizing someone. There's no machine in the world that can duplicate this process at the same speed as the human brain. Of course, right brain thinkers obviously are not the only humans who can recognize a familiar face. Those left brain thinkers can do just the same, but do not typically use the right hemisphere of their brain as often in their daily lives. Instead, the left brain is slower at seeing the big picture as a whole and focuses on individual sequential details. Problem solving is something that we all do on a daily basis. We either follow specific directions or we brainstorm for possible solutions. Creating art involves problem solving. Generating solutions to problems takes time, dedication, and most of all, passion to problem solve. No matter what kind of brain you have, you should still practice both styles of problem solving. Practicing art, whether it be painting, drawing, sculpture, photography, is good for the mind, body, and spirit. Creativity and the passion for art doesn't necessarily come to us immediately. In fact, it took me years of frustration to figure out that I truly am what we call a right brain thinker, and that wasn't until high school. During my sophomore year, I found a passion, and that passion was involved with the arts at Collegiate, especially photography. I never truly excelled in everyday classes such as math, science, and history, with the exception of English, in which I was able to utilize my creativity. For some reason, I've always seen things a little bit differently from many of my classmates, enabling me to do things they couldn't, while making it more difficult for me to do what they call simple tasks, such as studying. Tests are given on specific details and specific events. In testing, many of my fellow left-brain classmates flourished, and I did not. This is where many of them could find a pattern and simply practice it, but I often could not. Instead, I became distracted and found art. My new path eventually led me to attend the Governor's School for the Arts and New Media, where I made movies, stop-motion animations, and created photo manipulations and photographs, and most of all, became one with the artistic community, and finally found where I belonged. Mr. Rich, thank you for being one of the first to recognize my talent. I promise I'll keep up the good work. Mr. Arnold, wherever you are, it was a pleasure to be in your class, even when I knew that once I walked into the door, the first 5 minutes would be recognized to ripping on Townsend. Ms. Prince, thank you so much for helping me on every test in geometry. You knew I could actually do it once you painted the basic picture for me. Well, Ms. Harrison, thank you for showing me art in all its creative problem-solving ways. You have helped me reveal and develop my passion, my desire, and the path of my future. And to all you underclassmen, take the practice of art seriously. It will only enrich your educational experience at Collegiate. You should all be beating down the doors to get into Ms. Harrison's class. And to all of you, try art, love art, and most of all, love an artist.
Thank you, Townsend and Sarah. At this point, we have student announcements, so if you want to come right up here.